Lego Star Wars. This theme has existed for over 2 decades. Some people would even claim that it is the theme that saved Lego. For over the past years, we have gotten set after set, wave after wave, minifig after minifig of some of our most memorable moments and beloved characters from the films, TV shows, and even video games. But what some people would consider the glory days of Lego Star Wars, are those days over, or are we simply moving into a whole new era? This is my thoughts on the projection of Lego Star Wars. I've been a staunch Lego collector since I was 12 years old. I grew up on the Clone Wars. I am a Republic fan. All of these Lego ships and vehicles hold a special place in my heart. They've gone through drops, breaks, wear and tear, just from the amount of usage I've gotten out of them. And every year I remember checking prediction videos just in hopes to see what new sets were coming out. But as we've entered 2024, something just seems off. So to investigate why, let's travel back in time to the past. When I was a kid, my parents got me my first Lego set, the Jedi Duel. This was with the first Dooku and Yoda minifigure. Unfortunately, I have no clue where that is anymore, but they kept giving me Lego, in which at a very young age I began to mock build, create clone battles, reenact my favorite episodes, and even have Lego battles with friends to the extent where we would make our own rules and bring over bins upon bins of our collections to one house to fight, destroy, and demolish our Lego sets. And then around 2014, my parents got me Palpatine's Arrest, which never appealed to me. Sure, the minifigs were cool, even exclusive, but why would I get an office when I could still choose a Gungan sub or a Z95 Headhunter or the newest gunship? It was also around that time where my mom bought me the Duel on Geonosis. In hindsight, I love that I have the set because of the minifigs that came in it, but as a child, I didn't want a room. I wanted more ships to create enormous battles with, and seeing that I was broke, I couldn't have both. Several years passed, and that's when I began doing Lego YouTube in 2020, and it was also when things changed. I bought for myself my very first Lego set with minimal to no functions for display purposes only, the Nebulon B and the Bespin Duel, and as you can see, that trend continued. So now we have reached the present after years of only seeing an occasional display set based per year, such as the 2003 Jabba's Message, 2005 Vader's Transformation, even the 2018 Hoth Medical Chamber. All these sets that are rooms or whatnot, they came and went rarely. We've pivoted from the late 2010s where the build was the main focus of the Lego set and have arrived at a point where I believe that minifigs are now what Lego focuses on and the build is what suffers. Now, of course, this is an overgeneralization, but I do believe as titled, this is the trajectory. More sets with builds that do not have the potential for any swooshable fun. And within the 2020s, 2024 has been an odd year. We've replaced the helmet sets with midi-scale sets this year. We've released only one set that I think has equivalent playable functions as the Glory Days, which is the Clone Trooper Battle Pack, and now we move into the latter half of the year with the current Star Wars sets released being one that is playable and the rest are adult builds and a hallway. It's really the turn of the decade where we start seeing an imbalance happening, and for some reason it feels very different this year of 2024. In 2019, final year of that decade, we had a total of 19 what I would call play scale sets that were vehicles, ships, something of that sort. So 19 of those sets. We had 12 sort of what I'd like to categorize as like the random sets, the sets that I wouldn't necessarily categorize as the problem. I mean, like the microfighters are just like, I mean, they're just there. I don't think they really take up a spot really in the number of sets that we get. We got the Kylo Ren and Sith Trooper Brickheads, the 4+ X-Wing Trench Run, 4+ TIE Fighter Attack, and a 4+ A-Wing. The Droid Commander sets, I just categorized them because like they were kind of just, it felt sort of like a random thing for LEGO to do. We have the Advent Calendar, of course, and then we had like the weird sort of like action battle sets. Then as far as sets that are mainly just dioramas or like, you know, 18 plus, or I mean, with the exception of UCS, but sets that are generally just like a setting, a place, a room. We have the Death Star Escape, the Duel on Starkiller Base, the Death Star Cannon, Darth Vader's Castle, and a buildable Yoda. So that's 5 sets that are not vehicles or fighters or whatnot. Then we get to the 2020. These numbers have now skewed. These sets that are in play scale or fighters or ships or vehicles or something. We have a total of 14. I'm not gonna go through all of them. Microfighters and the Advent Calendar and that stuff, that's 7. And then we went from 5 in 2019 to in 2020 we have now 11. I will go through these. The Duel on Mustafar, Obi-Wan's Hut, the Master Builder Series Mos Eisley Cantina, the Death Star Final Duel, the Bespin, and I'm added in the Bespin Dual Promotional and the Nebula B Frigate because LEGO did make those available on the website, even though one was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, the other one was just supposed to be promotional. And TIE Pilot Helmet, Stormtrooper Helmet, Boba Fett Helmet, first year that we did helmet sets, D.O. and the Child. We then moved to 2021, we have 7. So we went from 11 to 7 in 2021. But I will say this much, we went from 14 play scale sets in 2020 to only 11 in 2021. So in reality, both of those went down 3 or 4, including the microfighters and all that stuff. That was only 4 that year. 2021 just felt like a slower year for LEGO, and that kind of makes sense. It was coming out of COVID, and so maybe that had something to do with it. 2022, we go back up. We have 10 sets that are mainly focused on like dioramas and stuff and settings. We have 13 play scale ones. 2023 goes from 9 dioramas to 13 play scales and 9. So now it's like we have this status quo of we have increased the amount of non-vehicles and non-ships, but they're kind of at this point where it's sort of like a 35-65 ratio. 2023, it's 9 to 13. But then we get to 2024, and this year has been very, very interesting because we're at a 50-50 margin of 11 to 11. So the 11 sets this year, you have the MIDI scale sets. You have 3 of those this year. The buildable Droideka. You have the Bunta Eve Padres diorama. That's 5. Boom. You have the buildable R2-D2. Borden the Tantive 4 hallway set. The Mandalorian bunker, just because it's just going to be a bunker battle on Peridia, because we don't know what that is yet, but I'm going to assume it's going to be more of a place-based than vehicles. It could be one of those like home pods, and if it is, then we can take that off the list. The Death Star playset and a buildable C-3PO. That's 11. That being said, the trajectory of how LEGO has been producing these Star Wars waves, obviously they've been very varied. They're trying to put out a lot of variety in their sets, which is interesting. We have only one 4+ set this year, which is the Crimson Hawk. We have a Cody and a Phantom Menace Brickhead set. So we have 2 Brickheads coming out. We have a X-Wing Luke mech coming out, so they're continuing sort of like this mech trend. And then we have 1 microfighter, as we know, Captain Rex's microfighter, and an Advent Calendar. And that's only 6 in that category. I feel like we are moving away from ships and vehicles. Well, Nathan, 50-50 is fine, you know. It kind of, there's still plenty of ships and vehicles. I mean, like, you still have 11 to choose from, you know, and that's fair. You know what? That's fine. But I'm just thinking back to the good days. I mean, like, even just in 2019, we didn't have 11. We had 19, which is 8 more. If you really want to get into it, you want to look at 2013, we only had really 3 sets that weren't ships or vehicles. That was Duel on Geonosis, the Rancor Pit, and the Ewok Village. Almost for every year, I would say, after doing this research from the 2010 decade, even before in the 2000s, I mean, we didn't have as many LEGO sets each year in the early 2000s, but most of them were still play scale. if you look at the percentages. And now, as we see at the turn of this decade, that has changed. So you might ask why? You know, like, why has that changed? One, I think Lego's trying to just do new stuff. For example, I mean, we've never gotten a Tantive 4 hallway. We've never gotten an invisible hand. It's been a while since we've gotten a buildable Droid Echo. Last time it was Technic. And then in regards to like the Mandalorian bunker, the Death Star playset, the Battle on Peridia, if that is in case, like something like this. Because the Battle Peridia, I mean, it's gonna have like a lot of exclusive minifigs. And once again, Lego's sort of doing that thing where they can make a set and almost treat it like you're just gonna give for the minifigs. The set is kind of like a nice little side bonus, it's not the main event. And sometimes they treat it like a really expensive battle pack. Like the Dark Troopers with Luke Skywalker, that hallway, that was practically a Dark Troopers battle pack. It just cost $35 and it came with a hallway build. I kind of want to say that this is almost a battle pack. Sure, you get 2 named characters, but we've gotten named characters in battle packs before, unfortunately. And you get a clone minifig. They can sort of get away with making these sets that have enough play value in them to entice kids, but have enough good minifigs to entice the adults. But I would just like to finish this video off with this. When I was a kid, I would play with my gunships like forever. Like I'd make up stories, I would send my minifigs on missions, I would use them for battles with my friends, display them, play with them, literally everything. And the possibilities were almost endless. I would never get bored playing with those Lego sets. But when you have something like this, like how many times as a kid are you gonna want to recreate Palpatine getting arrested? Yes, you can use this for other stuff. Yes, you can have Palpatine sit in the chair and maybe have some Jedi here and recreate some other scenes, some other riveting political scenes. And as a kid, you can be like, whoa, you know, Chancellor, like the taxes and on the population of the underworld, you know, the people aren't getting blah, 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 you know, we're gonna have to make some adjustments with that. You know, no kid's gonna, the potential of using this for other stuff, for variety, is considerably lessened because it's a place, it is stationary, and with vehicles and ships, you can make your own missions, you can bring them places, you can swoosh them around, you can bring them to other rooms and all that stuff, and you can mix and match and all that. This is kind of like, this is limited of what you can do. How many times are you really gonna recreate the opening scene of A New Hope? If I had the Tantive 4, which I do, I can fly that around, I can send Bail Organa off on missions, I can use my imagination, you know, all that stuff, I can go to different planets. This hallway, like, I can recreate the opening scene of A New Hope. I can maybe just recreate some sort of just hallway attack scene, sure. And I can like flip these guys off using these like playable features. But I'm gonna tell you this much, as a kid, I'll get bored way more easily with this and not play with it. And once again, we finally come to what I think Lego is also doing. It's that they know that this is gonna get boring faster than if you were to get a ship. Because when I was a kid, I didn't need a lot of sets. I was pretty satisfied with the sets that I had because you could have almost unlimited amount of things you could do with it and make up. If I had this as a kid, I would probably be asking my parents for more Lego like within the next couple weeks, if not days. So my other thing is, I think Lego personally knows that some of these certain sets, the Mandalorian bunker, like this hallway, the sets that are coming out, I think they know that these sets are gonna get boring faster because the potential of playing with them is drastically decreased compared to if they were to release just more ships and more vehicles. And thus you're gonna wanna ask your parents for more Lego in that case, which at the end of the day is a good marketing scheme. I don't personally like it. I think that 18+ sets are fine. and diorama sets are fine, and helmet sets are fine, and people can collect those and display them and do whatever, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, I mean, Lego's meant to be played with. And stuff like this, at the end of the day, really only has potential of collecting dust. And I think everyone on this video who's watching who has gotten this far will agree with me that you would much rather get the invisible hand in a play scale size than have it given to you in a mini scale form. And in our heart of hearts, we're all kids still. And we want functions, we want playability, and we want something to do with these sets that's not just look at them. So that being said, thank you everyone for watching this video. Comment down below what you think about this theory and what you think about what I've said. If you disagree with anything, I would love to know. And I also hope you all have a great rest of your day. Hope you have fun building the Lego that you have and have fun playing with it. See you all in the next one. Bye.